February 3rd, 1959. A small Beechcraft Bonanza climbs into a dark Iowa sky. The temperature is below zero. Snow is falling. Inside the plane are three of the biggest stars in rock and roll. The pilot is 21 years old and has never flown in weather like this. 8 minutes after takeoff, the plane slams into a frozen cornfield at full speed. Everyone on board is killed instantly. The crash doesn't just take 3 lives, it rips a hole in the future of music itself. This is the night the music died. Before we dive into what really happened that night, do me a favor and hit that like button. And if you want more stories like this, subscribe to the channel. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming. Let's go back to January 1959. Rock and roll is exploding across America. Elvis is in the army. Chuck Berry is climbing the charts. And 3 young stars are about to embark on what's supposed to be the tour of their lives, the Winter Dance Party Tour, 24 shows in 3 weeks across the frozen Midwest. Buddy Holly is the headliner. At 22 years old, he's already a legend. Peggy Sue, that'll be the day. He's wearing his signature thick black glasses and writing songs that will influence everyone from the Beatles to Bob Dylan. He's married, his wife is pregnant, and he's trying to save money to build a recording studio. This tour is supposed to be his big payday. Ritchie Valens is only 17. He's a Mexican-American kid from California who just recorded La Bamba, a song that's breaking down racial barriers on the radio. He's the first Latino rock star in America. His career is just beginning. He has his whole life ahead of him. Then there's J.P. Richardson, better known as the Big Bopper. He's the oldest at 28. A DJ turned singer with a massive hit called Chantilly Lace. He's a big personality, always joking, always making people laugh. He's also a new father. His wife just gave birth to their son 3 weeks ago. He hasn't even met him yet. The tour is a disaster from the beginning. It's the middle of winter in the Midwest. We're talking Iowa, Wisconsin, Minnesota, brutal cold. The tour bus keeps breaking down, no heat, guys are getting sick, frostbite, flu. They're traveling hundreds of miles between shows on a bus that barely works. After a show in Duluth, drummer Carl Bunch gets hospitalized with frostbite on his feet. The conditions are so bad that Buddy Holly's bassist gets pneumonia. They're exhausted, freezing, and miserable. But they keep going because they need the money and they've got contracts to fulfill. On February 2nd, they play the Surf Ballroom in Clear Lake, Iowa. It's a sold-out show. The crowd goes wild. But behind the scenes, Buddy Holly has had enough of the bus. He makes a decision that will change everything. He's going to charter a small plane to fly ahead to the next show in Moorhead, Minnesota. That way he can get some rest, do his laundry, maybe even see a doctor. It sounds like a good idea. A small plane, a quick flight, get ahead of the nightmare bus. He finds a local pilot service. A 21-year-old pilot named Roger Peterson agrees to fly them. The plane is a 4-seater Beechcraft Bonanza. Buddy books 3 seats, 1 for him and 2 more. Now here's where fate steps in. Waylon Jennings, Buddy's bass player, was supposed to be on that plane. He had one of the seats, but at the last minute, the Big Bopper asks if he can have it. He's sick, he's got the flu, he's a big guy, and the bus is cramped and freezing. He just wants to rest. Waylon Jennings says yes, he gives up his seat. Years later, Jennings will say that decision haunted him for the rest of his life. Buddy Holly jokes with him before leaving. "Hey Waylon, I hope your bus freezes up." And Waylon jokes back, "Well, I hope your plane crashes." It's just a joke between friends. But those words will echo in Waylon's mind for decades. The other seat goes to Ritchie Valens. But here's the thing, Ritchie wasn't supposed to be on that plane either. Tommy Allsup, the guitar player, had the seat. Ritchie Valens begs him for it. He's never flown in a small plane before. He thinks it'll be cool. So they flip a coin, heads or tails. Ritchie wins. Tommy Allsup loses the coin toss, and it saves his life. Tommy will later say that he thinks about that coin flip every single day. One flip, one decision, life or death. So now the plane has its passengers, Buddy Holly, Ritchie Valens, the Big Bopper, and the pilot, Roger Peterson. It's around midnight. The weather is terrible. Snow, wind, freezing temperatures. Visibility is almost zero. The local airport manager tries to talk them out of flying. He tells them to wait, but Buddy wants to go. He's tired. He's done with the cold bus. Roger Peterson, the pilot, is young and confident. He's got his commercial pilot's license, but he's not certified for instrument flying. That means he's not trained to fly when he can't see outside. He has to rely on the instruments in the cockpit. And there's a problem. One of the instruments in the plane, the attitude indicator, works the opposite of what Peterson is used to. It's an older model. If he reads it wrong, he'll think the plane is climbing when it's actually diving. At 12:55 a.m. on February 3rd, the plane takes off into the dark, snowy night. Roger Peterson climbs to about 800 feet. Then something goes wrong. The snow is so thick he can't see anything outside. No horizon, no ground, no lights. He's flying blind. He looks at his instruments, but the attitude indicator is confusing him. He thinks he's climbing. He's not. The plane is losing altitude, fast. He tries to pull up, but he's disoriented. The plane banks to the right. It's diving now. Peterson doesn't realize it until it's too late. 8 minutes after takeoff, the Beechcraft Bonanza slams into a frozen cornfield at over 170 miles per hour. The impact is catastrophic. Buddy Holly, Ritchie Valens, the Big Bopper, Roger Peterson, all dead on impact. The plane is destroyed, wreckage scattered across the snow. It's so cold and dark that nobody even knows they're missing until the sun comes up. The next morning, the owner of the plane service realizes something is wrong. The plane never arrived in Moorhead. He gets in another aircraft and flies the route, searching. That's when he sees it, a twisted pile of metal in a white field. He lands nearby and walks to the crash site. The scene is horrific, bodies thrown from the wreckage. The plane is barely recognizable. He radios back. Everyone on board is dead. The news spreads fast. By noon, it's on every radio station in America. Buddy Holly is dead. Ritchie Valens is dead. The Big Bopper is dead. 3 of the brightest stars in rock and roll, gone in an instant. Back on the tour bus, Waylon Jennings and Tommy Alsop hear the news. The 2 men who gave up their seats, they're alive because of a simple favor and a coin flip. Waylon breaks down. He can't stop thinking about his last words to Buddy. I hope your plane crashes. It was a joke. But now Buddy is dead, and those words are the last thing he ever said to him. Waylon Jennings will carry that guilt for the next 43 years until his own death in 2002. Tommy Alsop keeps that coin in his pocket for the rest of his life, a reminder of how close he came. The Winter Dance Party tour is supposed to continue. The remaining musicians are devastated, but they decide to finish it. For Buddy, for Ritchie, for Bopper. They bring in new performers. 15-year-old Bobby V fills in for Buddy Holly. Years later, he'll become a star himself. But that night, he's just a scared kid trying to honor a legend. The shows go on, but the energy is gone. Everyone knows something irreplaceable has been lost. The investigation into the crash reveals what went wrong. Roger Peterson was flying in conditions he wasn't trained for. The weather was too severe. He misread the attitude indicator and lost spatial awareness. In the dark and snow, he didn't know which way was up. The plane descended when he thought it was climbing. By the time he realized his mistake, there was no time to recover. It was a tragic combination of bad weather, inexperience, and equipment confusion. A series of small decisions that led to catastrophe. But here's what makes this tragedy even more haunting. The ripple effects. Buddy Holly's wife, Maria Elena, was pregnant when she heard about the crash on television. The shock caused her to miscarry. She lost the baby. She spent years blaming herself for not stopping him from taking that flight. The Big Bopper's son was born 3 months before the crash. His father never got to hold him, never got to see him grow up. That little boy grew up without a dad because of one winter night. Ritchie Valens' mother was told that her 17-year-old son was dead, the boy who was just starting to live his dream, the kid who brought Mexican-American culture into mainstream rock and roll, gone before he could see how far his music would go. And then there's the music itself. Buddy Holly was writing constantly. He had notebooks full of songs, ideas for new sounds, plans for the studio he wanted to build. All of that potential died with him. Ritchie Valens had recorded La Bamba just months before. That song would become a timeless classic, but we'll never know what else he could have created. The Big Bopper was working on new material. He was evolving as an artist. We lost all of that in 8 minutes. The crash didn't just kill 3 men, it killed the future they would have created. Think about it. Buddy Holly influenced the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, Bob Dylan, and countless others. And he did that in just 2 years of recording. Imagine what he could have done with 20 more years. 30 years. Ritchie Valens was breaking down barriers for Latino artists. He was 17. His career had barely started. The Big Bopper was bringing humor and personality to rock and roll in a way nobody else was. All of that ended in a frozen Iowa cornfield. The crash became a defining moment in music history. It marked the end of rock and roll's innocent era. The 1950s had been about fun, dancing, teenage romance. After February 3rd, 1959, that innocence was shattered. Music got more serious, more aware of its own mortality. In 1971, Don McLean wrote a song about that night, American Pie, the day the music died. That phrase became immortal. It captured what everyone felt, that something precious had been lost. That music would never be quite the same. But here's the cruel twist of fate that makes this story even darker. Ritchie Valens was terrified of flying. He had recurring nightmares about plane crashes. His fear started after a mid-air collision over his school's playground killed several of his friends. He saw the wreckage. He was traumatized by it. And yet, when the opportunity came to fly that night, he begged for a seat. He flipped a coin for the chance to get on that plane. The thing he feared most is exactly what killed him. It's like fate was playing a sick joke. And Waylon Jennings, the man who survived because he gave up his seat, couldn't escape the shadow of that night. For decades, he struggled with survivor's guilt. He battled drug addiction. He questioned why he lived when Buddy died. In interviews, he'd talk about hearing Buddy's voice in his head. Those last joking words, "I hope your plane crashes." Waylon would say that he felt responsible somehow, that maybe if he hadn't joked back, if he'd insisted on keeping his seat, maybe Buddy would still be alive. It's irrational, but guilt doesn't care about logic. That one night defined the rest of Waylon's life. The crash site became a memorial. Fans started making pilgrimages to that cornfield in Clear Lake, Iowa. They'd leave flowers, guitar picks, photos. Every February 3rd, there's a ceremony at the Surf Ballroom where they played their last show. Musicians perform. People share stories. They honor the memory of 3 young men who died too soon. The field where the plane went down has a monument now. Glasses for Buddy, a guitar for Ritchie, a record for Bopper. 3 lives, 3 dreams, all buried in the snow. The night the music died wasn't just about 3 deaths. It was about the death of possibility, about the future that never happened, about the songs we'll never hear and the influence they never got to have. Buddy Holly was 22, Ritchie Valens was 17, the Big Bopper was 28. Between them, they had maybe 5 years of professional music careers. And in that short time, they changed rock and roll forever. Imagine what they could have done with a lifetime. And that's the real tragedy. Not just that they died, but that we lost everything they would have become. Every song Buddy would have written, every barrier Ritchie would have broken, every moment of joy Bopper would have created. All of it gone in 8 minutes on a frozen night in Iowa. The music didn't really die that night, but it was wounded, and we're still feeling that loss more than 65 years later. If this story hit you as hard as it hit me, make sure to turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video. And if you want to hear more tragic stories from rock history, check out the video I just posted about Led Zeppelin's Curse. Trust me, that one will blow your mind. Thanks for watching. And remember, the music never really dies as long as we keep listening.